Hello and welcome to Mistakes Were Made. This channel was created to document our progress with debt reduction and eventual debt elimination for credit cards, personal loans, car loans, the big mamma jamma, the mortgage, and this is a little bit different than what I have done in the past for videos. Pretty much all my other videos were pen and paper heavy, handwritten information, etc. But I thought, it might be of interest to folks to see, what I'm actually doing on a daily basis and how I get to that information because I live in this spreadsheet. I mean, I am in here more, daily. It's multiple times a day with how clean and easy it is to manipulate information, to add, remove, all of that stuff. This has made our debt reduction, our budgeting process much, much more easy. Um, and so I thought it might be interesting for you guys to see it. Now, this is not based off of any particular template or anything like that. I just decided, okay, here's the information that I want to be tracking. And I manually just typed all that stuff in. There's a few sections that do have some formulas, but they're really simple additions or subtractions or multiplications, nothing that requires, a lot of Excel knowledge. I would say I enjoy this method not just because of how easy it is to manipulate the information, change things you need to change, add things that you need to add, but also because I'm finding that it gives me a measure of control back in the situation that we're in. The job situation is it's not really 100% in my own hands, so being able to determine scenarios, come up with calculations, see how that might affect us financially, how does that impact our budget, what might we need to change, um, and try and be forward looking is incredibly helpful. And the fact that it doesn't take a lot of effort to create those calculations in here where, paper and pen, you can absolutely do that using those methods, but I don't know, I find it much easier here to be able to just do a couple of keystrokes and boom, I can kind of see what the future might hold or something like that. So I get a lot of comfort from that in a situation where things have been incredibly stressful for the last 3 or 4 months, and I'm expecting them to probably continue to be stressful for the next 3 or 4 months going forward. So, just as a quick overview, we've got our credit cards here, we've got the personal loan for my mom and our mortgage, and we've got all the pertinent information that I'm trying to track and see. So, what did we owe at the beginning of the month? What is the minimum payment that's required? How much did we actually pay? Did we have any interest that got applied? Where are we at the end of the month? And then what does that difference look like? Our recurring monthly costs are here, along with the days that they're owed, and a place for me to note have they been paid. I would say 99% of these are auto debits, so it's mostly just a matter of me looking into the checking account and noting when it's been paid off. But because some of these are variable, we have like estimated amounts that we think it's going to cost. And then, so there is a little bit of adjusting if there are any changes because, it's winter, so gas and electricity usage is going up for heating and things like that. Over here are cash envelopes, the different categories, the amounts we're funding, and the cadence we're funding them in, plus an opportunity for me to note whether they've been funded or not. So this helps keep me on track and seeing that we are fulfilling the expectations of our budget. Now over here, we also have kind of where I'm stocking our money. Because this is really where I'm doing my daily stuff in here, even though I really probably don't need to be in this spreadsheet daily. It's probably unhealthy how often I'm in here, if I'm being honest. um, I am looking and seeing, exactly where our money is almost on a daily basis and making adjustments. If a debit or something has come out, then I'm recalculating to see, okay, how much money are we expecting to have in the bank at the end of this particular pay period, recalculating to see how much will we have left over to be able to put into savings, recalculating to see, okay, what are we going to have in the bank to transfer that will roll over to the next month so that we can do it all over again. So like for this, um, We did the calculations. At this time, things have changed since this data has been put in there, but at the time, we still had two debits left to come out, and the expectation is at the end of the month we would have $1,000 to move to savings, and then plus our paychecks that pay for December, the first half of December, add that plus our rollover amount, and we should be starting December with $4,859. And you can see this is our December tab, which looks almost exactly like our November one. This is what it looks like at the beginning of the month when I'm doing my obsessive behavior. So I'm seeing, okay, we're from that total, we're taking out $500 in cash envelope stuff, 840 for our mortgage, 592 is going to go for credit card payments, 586 is going to go for our monthly costs, and that's just for the first half of the month. So that'll leave us with X amount, include my buffer, so we should be able to transfer to savings this amount. Then we take that rollover plus the paychecks that should be coming in, and so we're going to start the second half of the month with $3,600. That's kind of what I do ad nauseum, constantly making slight adjustments as needed because numbers have changed, and I've done that for January and I've done that for February. The other piece that I use this for my kind of forward looking and trying to feel better about the future, or retain a little bit of control, feeling of control about the future, is guesstimating where we will be at the time that I lose my job. So here is what we have calculated we'll have saved, the $1,000 here. The first half of November we saved 900. That's where we get to the 1900. With my calculations for December, figuring another 3,000 will go into savings. So that's on top of this 1,900, 4,900. Same thing for January. This bucket, these numbers are based on our sinking fund, unexpected cash envelope, plus amounts that we are transferring into our savings just as a regular process. That comes to $570. We had a little bit in the savings previously, so then you just keep adding 570 for the different months. These two numbers right here, they're the same across the board. This is what I'm expecting to get back for my severance once the job is gone, plus what I'm expecting to get paid for my accrued but unused PTO. It's not impressive. It's not blowing anyone's skirt up. It's not going to save the day, except for the fact that it will help build our savings amount. So, it may not be huge, but it's going to be very helpful all the same. So I could be, slightly underestimating these, but I'd rather underestimate than overestimate. So then having this information, depending on when my job goes away, is going to be extremely helpful, because then that helps inform how long do I have to find a job before that bank of money is gone. And to help with that, I then, and here's where we start seeing my obsessiveness and all that stuff. I have created different budget types. So I've got this, what I'm calling the absolute minimum budget. This is the budget we're working under right now. Now, this does assume that we won't have any of these extra unallocated fund type things to be moved into a savings. It's just what we have over here. So that's why I call it no extra budget room. This one is built off of this, but has $350 that would be specifically for debt reduction. So we'd still have the minimum payments that we're making, but then we'd have an additional $350 to add on top of that for like the snowball process. Same thing here, but it's $750. And then nobody likes to think about it, but then I also created an austerity budget, and as you can see, I put that in that budget. There's nothing but sadness, and I know there's a lot of folks who feel that when you're doing the debt stuff, there should be no happiness in debt reduction and no entertainment or fun stuff. I'm not in agreement, but I do want to see what that would look like, how that would impact us just in case situations come up. and we have to live under this. The goal for us is going to be to attempt to maintain that, but we know reality could come our way and we would have to drop down to something like this. And that one would take out all of the extra savings opportunities we've built into the main budget, as well as take out all possible entertainment options. Um, Not something that we are looking to do at this time, but it's a possibility in the future if we need to. So then that gives us, kind of our baseline. My partner, he contributes $3,100 a month, so we subtract that from each of these opportunities, and that means for this one, I would be responsible for $3,100 also. For this one, it would be $2,700. This one 2,300, and this one $1,631. And then that means because I have no income to actually pay these, this would become my income for the months until I get a new job. And then we can look and see how many months does $9,370 give us if we're taking out 2,300 each month. And so for here it would be 4 months, here a little over 5, and here a little bit over 6. And depending on the different budget types, they affect those numbers in different ways. Now, the last piece that I did for all these was I wanted to know if we're following this budget, what options do I have? I mean, what is the minimum wage I can accept to be able to earn $2,300 a month? And that's not just earn $2,300 a month, that's $2,300 that will be in the bank. So to extrapolate that out for a year, I multiplied that by 12, as you can see in this right here, which became 27,600. So then I needed to figure out, okay, well, what gross wage would bring in $27,600? So I had this field, which is an empty field, which you can just type numbers in, and I created two calculations. This one takes this number and multiplies it by 0.68, which effectively takes 32% out of the gross. And the reason I used that percentage number is when I looked at my paychecks from the past, the difference between my gross pay and what actually got deposited into my checking account was about 31.5, 31.7%. So I said, well, let's use 32% as a baseline and use that to try and determine what my annual pay would need to be. Now, for my paychecks, that was taking 401k out, HSA, medical premiums, state and federal taxes, other kinds of fees. So it's possible that my whatever new job I get wouldn't add up to that much. But again, I would rather overestimate how much money is coming out and be surprised when we end up with more money in our bank account than underestimate and be scrambling trying to figure out a shortfall. So then all I did after that was, kind of take numbers and see what the calculation would look like, and I ended up at 40,600, gets closest to that 27,600. Then this calculation is just taking this gross number and dividing it by 2,080, which is 2,080 hours, the standard for a 40-hour full-time job when you look at it for the year, and that comes up with the $19.50 an hour. So for us to be able to maintain this budget, any job that I take would really need to be $19.50 an hour at minimum. Obviously, I'm going to want to apply and get a job with the highest pay possible, but this is what I would need to obtain for this specific budget at minimum. Because this is kind of our baseline budget, this is the section that I'm kind of keeping my eye on. These are, decent amounts of time, but though I'm confident about the skills that I have and what I can bring to a company, I unfortunately know a good number of fantastic people who are very skilled, very smart, wonderful assets, and they are struggling to find jobs. Um, So I'm not going to make the assumption that I'm going to be some magical unicorn that, immediately finds a job. And I want to make sure I'm giving myself the time to find something. Um, so though this may seem expansive, it does not mean that I'm going to be able to take, like a month off, because my goal is obviously to get a job as soon as possible. But the other benefits to that are, if I lose my job at the end of December, presumably, if all numbers stay true, we'd have $12,940 in the bank. If I can get a job in the early part of January, mid-January, so we only need to pull $2,300 out of this bucket, that would give us $10,000 that we can do some wholesale payments on some of these credit card debts. We could wipe out the Amazon card, um, put a pretty good chunk on Bank of America, which has a 0% promo in place, or similarly on the US Bank, which has the next highest interest rate. So I would love to be able to leverage the savings that we would have in place to help our debt even more. So again, goal is to find a job as soon as possible, but also within the realms that are required to meet our budget needs. Anyway, that's what I use. This is what I do on a daily basis. It's very probably sad and weird. I admit I'm a dork. I love messing around in these things. But what are your thoughts? Do you guys prefer to do pen and paper, the more traditional handwriting things out? Do you like using spreadsheets? A mix of both? Would you prefer I do my updates going forward using spreadsheets? Because it is typically cleaner and easier to read as a general rule. I'll be honest, this is the first time I've done screen capture stuff, so I'm hoping this is working okay. If you're seeing this, then I was like, great, it worked. And if it didn't work, you're not seeing this, so never mind. But I'm sure that there's things that you guys can give me feedback on to make doing screen capture stuff a little bit better for viewing purposes. But again, this is my first time, so go easy on me. But as I was saying, would you prefer this as the method that I do our recaps, or do you like the pen and paper handwritten stuff? I'm trying to think, is there anything else that you would like to see that is related to budgets or debt reduction that we're not documenting at the moment? We're still kind of new to the process, so there may be things that we're doing, but I'm not thinking would be interesting enough for somebody to watch or see us do. So love to get the feedback on there. One thing that I am looking at are savings challenges. Right now, I don't think I feel comfortable doing them, mainly because to me, a savings challenge is supposed to be a challenge. Right now, the way our budget is set up, we specifically have made it so that we have larger sums of unallocated money. And so to me, it would feel kind of like cheating or not genuine if I were to at the end of the month say, "Oh, hey, look, I can scratch all these things off," or "I've met these savings challenge goals because I've got $1,000 at the end of, this pay period," when that's by design because that's how our budget is structured right now. I don't know. Am I overthinking that? Am I maybe I'm looking at it all wrong and attributing, expectations that really shouldn't be there? I don't know. Just with the way I envision savings challenges work, it doesn't feel like it would be authentic if we were to do them right now. Now, once I get my new job, we will be blowing up this budget just a little bit, and it will probably become a zero-based budget, even while we're doing it by paycheck. So there won't be any inherent large sums of money that are unallocated to anything. Everything should have a place. And then at that point, any extra money would be generated by a change in behavior or us, not spending something in particular. And then I would definitely feel much more comfortable doing a savings challenge and putting that into a video form. But I don't know. Let me know what you think. This has definitely gone longer than I was intending, so I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for those that do comment and like and subscribe, of course. I very much appreciate it. I know your time is precious, so I really appreciate you spending it watching and learning and seeing what we're doing. And at risk of this getting any longer, I'm just going to say I hope I see you guys in the next one.